boat in the kingdom, can't turn around. We're lighting up the night, shaking up the ground. Excuses and flames, yeah, we're breaking free. One big fire, this is our legacy.
Welcome to the One Big Fire podcast, live with Mr. Jay Kinder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I am Albie, your host. So, hey, welcome back, everybody. Jay, how are you, buddy? Great
Man,
start.
dude, it's good. It's good. It's good. Everything is good, man. Blessed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, my home state of Ohio. Anybody listening in from there, they're getting buried in snow. And I'm telling them, like, bring it over here to Tahoe because it's just blue skies. Yesterday, I was on the mountain. I snuck out after my appointments and everything. And just got out for a couple hours, and it was like 55 degrees or something. It was beautiful sun sky, and skiing down Blue Lake. And I'm like, dang, I wish I had some snow. Like, it's awesome. I love it, but like, it'd be nice to have a nice new blanket. So all you East Coast people getting buried, send that white stuff my way. We'll take it. We'll take it. So,
oh man, right on.
Man, I'm excited about our topic today. You were probably the first one to send me. I remember when you went down the rabbit hole about signal versus noise.
Yeah.
And we always talk about leverage and where agents can get leverage. They're not getting leverage. And we want to talk about where that's at and, the difference between signal and noise and how leverage plays into that. And, a lot of people, a lot of agents, they're in a position where money is an issue. They're chasing the money. I need more money. And the biggest realization, I mean, we've heard it from all the top coaches. We talk about it all the time, is that it's not the money that you need. It's the people, because it's the people that move the money. So we move the people into a position of leverage and the money then follows. So excited about our topic, man. So, in kind of talking about it, you talk about it all the time. What actually moves the needle for, we talk about two different avatars. We have our real estate agent who's trying to grow their business and number of sales and grow that volume. Maybe it's raising their average sale price or doing more units. And then we have our team leader. And the team leader has different needles that they're moving because they're in the human development business, right? So if you're a team leader or a broker, what moves your needle is different than what's going to be moving a needle for an agent who's trying to, get four listings a month, right? And Mr. Wonderful has a great, I don't know if you sent it to me, but someone sent me the video of Mr. Wonderful talking about Jobs, and he's talking about Elon, and he worked with both of them. And he was talking about Steve Jobs, where Jobs was 85% signal and 15% noise. And then he goes into Elon. He's like, I've only met one person who's 100% signal, and that's Elon Musk, who's an alien, which we all know.
Yeah.
He's just constantly all signal all day. By the way, I don't recommend that. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just a different, I don't know if we call him a human.
Yeah.
Look at Android. But for real estate professionals, whether you're a realtor looking to grow, a lender looking to grow your business with agents, or you're a team leader, how much time are you focused on a daily basis on the signal versus the noise? So Jay, when you think about signal, what are you thinking about?
So I might have a little different perspective, a little bit more out there, man. Like, to me, like it's like the flow state, right? So like I quit drinking four months ago, whatever it was, almost 4 months ago, because it was creating static. I didn't feel like I was dialed in and doing all I was capable of. And so, I think the signal is that tuning fork to like what your soul's purpose is. And if you're doing the things that you love and you're adding value and you're focused on that, and you're not focused on money, and you're not focused on managing and putting out fires and doing the things that, some of that is part of what you have to do as you go through the process. But like every evolution, and I had this long ChatGPT before ChatGPT became a big wuss, about the signal. And I said, talk to me about the signal. And then it went off on a couple of things. I was like, not that signal, the other signal. And then it got down this rabbit hole. And, I was talking about, I was like, why does this feel like this? And I was talking about like helping the people that have teams. Like we're helping any individual agent grow their business. And I said, but there's something calling me to build, to build the solution for these team leaders and this and that and the other. And I said, it's like they're closer to the signal because of who they had to become to get to the level that they're at. And I was like, dang, that's some deep stuff right there. Like, truthfully, like in order for you to, we say it all the time, it's Jim Rohn, in order for you to get to the next level in life, for, you're living at a small percentage of what you're capable of right now. And in order for you to get to the next level, it's more about who you have to become than anything. So, it's doing the right things, it's leverage, it's all the things that we're going to talk about today. But, it is more about who you have to become to get there. And that's, that's the real secret, and I think, that was what, when I'm in the room with people that I feel like Brett. So guess what happened with Brett Jennings? So this was while we were in Tahoe. So while we're in Tahoe, I'm thinking about Brett Jennings, one of the evenings that we were there. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. And I was like, man, I need to call Brett Jennings just to check in with him, because he's, so a good friend, dude that's murdering it, and I was thinking about him. And so the next day, bro, my phone's in my pocket and I hear it ringing because I have my earphones in because we were about to get on the lift to go up and snowboard. And it's ringing, and I'm like, man, I think I just butt dialed someone. I picked it up. It's freaking Brett Jennings. I never pulled his name or his number or anything. And he's like, dude, I was just thinking about you. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. He's like, no, man, literally yesterday I was just thinking about you. I need to call Jay. And I was like, you're not gonna believe this, dude, but I literally had the same thought. And so like that vibrating at that frequency, now we're getting into some stuff people don't know nothing about. But like when you're vibrating at a certain frequency, that's where I feel like you're dialed into the signal. You're doing the things you're meant to be doing. And that's, we could talk about psychedelics if you want to too, but there's a lot, I feel like being close to that signal is doing more of your purpose in life as much as anything. And so I don't know that, you asked me the question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think to that story, I felt like that happened in, I think like August, September for me. If you remember, right. I wrote these 2 songs with AI with the help of Nick Krem's system. Yeah. Right? And I started listening to these songs. These were basically my anthem songs moving forward on what I wanted my perfect day, my perfect life, my perfect everything to look like. Put it out there in the universe. One of those things was I wanted to, and I said in 5 years, I wanted a home in Lake Tahoe. I wanted to spend X amount of months in Tahoe versus Ohio, all these things. And they were in the song. And I literally listened to these songs every single day, sometimes multiple times on the way to the gym.
This is a great story, dude.
Dude, like literally within 2 weeks of me writing those songs, I get a phone call from the broker here in Tahoe. He's like, hey, man, that house that you were looking at came back up. Now, I ended up not buying that one, but it didn't matter. At the end of the day, I was on a flight to Tahoe. Looked at a few, ended up buying a home. That was a 5-year plan.
Yeah, dude. So that's the signal, right? Like you didn't ignore because you were dialed into the signal. You didn't ignore the fact that the broker called you. Like that isn't by happenstance. That's God tapping you on the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like those things, and sometimes it happens. And you're like, dude, that's crazy, right? Like, okay, let's just write that off. Back to doing what I normally do. But there's something pulling me in the direction of Brett Jennings. There's something pulling him in the direction of me. And it's not, recruiting him to EXP. It's something we're meant to do together. And it's something bigger than that. And that's, that's why you don't ignore those things. You don't know, especially, you listen to the song, you programmed that into reality. And that's what, people talk about, thoughts are things. Well, do you believe that thoughts lead to your feelings? Yep. Okay. Yeah. If I think a certain thing, I might feel a certain way. Feelings lead to your actions. You feel a certain way, you might respond differently. And then your actions lead to your results. Like everybody's like, yep. If you do certain things, you're going to get a certain result. If you don't get the results you want, it might be what your actions. Damn, and then your thoughts are really things. The thoughts are things. This goes back to some books we've all read. But Think and Grow Rich, this and that and the other. But like you put that out until nothing is created in this world until it becomes a thought. You put that in motion. You put that into the universe. The universe brought it back to you because you were dialed into the signal. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And to put a bow on what you just said, what you were talking about right there was your thoughts become, your feelings, right? And most of the thoughts that are coming from our minds, and our minds never shut off. We're constantly talking to ourselves, thoughts coming in, and a lot of it, majority of it is noise. And that comes from our ego. The signal comes from humility and being, having the awareness to see those thoughts, all that thoughts, the noise, the stuff that's coming in from our ego, and just allowing that to pass through our mind, not just sitting up there and swimming around, because that's where we get frustrated and quit. The signal comes from humility. And, we know the top leaders, in the country that sell lots of real estate. And what do we see most leaders do? When they get successful, they add complexity, or they had this old strategy that was working and they're going to defend that and hold on to that, right, without wanting to pivot. And they're really at that point, they could be spinning their wheels, seemingly busy, but they're confusing that motion with actual progress. So that what you've heard of the white belt. Have you heard of white belt mentality?
Yep.
Black brought this up on today's coaching call. It was brilliant. So I wanted to bring it up. And that really is what the difference with signal and noise. That white belt mentality is, if I was starting from scratch, would what I'm doing right now on a daily basis actually matter? Would it actually move the needle? And what would I have to remove from my daily patterns, my habits that I've been creating that may or may not be moving that needle? What do I need to remove before I start adding something else? And kind of just getting back to activity, dude. And what are those activities that move the needle? And you talk about it all the time. It's how many conversations can I be having on a daily basis? If you're an agent and you're trying to get to 50 sales a year, your number one metric, the most important one, white belt mentality, is how many conversations am I having per day? We talk to agents literally every single day, and it all boils down to, okay, you're not hitting the goals. How many conversations are you having daily? How many conversations are you having weekly? Because if you're having enough, you're gonna.
Let me add something to this, okay?
Yeah.
I don't think things started to really, this evolution, this life that this journey that we're on, right? I don't think that things started really, I didn't get a glimpse of the signal until I started adapting to Jay Abraham's strategy of preeminence, which is every it's conversation per day, but like literally every person you come in contact with, trying to add as much value as you can to that person's life. When you adapt that mindset, and every person you come in contact with, it's a lot. But if you attempt to do that, that's the signal, right? Like, you don't get to the signal by chasing and trying to chase the money because you're trying to get the deals. You get there because you're focused on adding value to that one person that you had a conversation with. How do I add as much? And genuinely, that means you're asking questions. You're trying to learn. You're trying to see what they're trying to do. You're trying to figure out how you can help them the most. Who could you connect them with? That means the lender that does the deal, the agent on another side of a deal, somebody you bump into in the hallway. If you're having a conversation that's meaningful, try to add value to that person. If you do that for your whole life, you'll reap the rewards of far greater than just trying to focus on the money, right?
Yeah. So, kind of putting a bow on what you just said is the strategy of preeminence. And that starts as a foundation, right, Jay?
Yep.
Meaning
it is the absolute foundation. The absolute foundation. You're here on this planet to add value to people's lives. As soon as you adapt to that, that's the reality. It's going to feel better, by the way. You're going to like what you do a lot more when you don't feel like you're trying to do it something you don't want to do. When you know that your goal is to make the biggest impact in people's lives and do it as many times as you can. Now every interaction isn't you chasing business. It's the signal. That's the difference. And I think people, once you plug into that, you feel like you have purpose, Yeah.
So if the statement that we believe is core true, right? That money doesn't move the systems. It's people that move systems, and systems move money. Our focus has to be on the people, right?
Yep.
So the foundation you're talking about, the strategy of preeminence, means when you're having those conversations we just talked about, like that's the leading measure. How many conversations are you having? And within those conversations, that's where the strategy of preeminence comes in, right? That's how we're approaching each one of these relationships, new relationships with a buyer, a new relationship with a seller, a new relationship with an agent. If you're an LO, it's the new relationship with that agent that you're trying to get their business, obviously, right? I mean, that's how it goes. And you're an LO, you're out there trying to grow your business. You need agents who are going to feed you loans and buyers that need money, right? So how are you approaching that relationship? Are you approaching it transactionally or on a deeper level with the strategy of preeminence?
Yep.
And so growth stalls without the right people. It's not just about recruiting, agents into your ecosystem. It's about the right agents, the ones that want to grow. And how do you identify those? It's going to have to be, you now taking a step out of your ego and going all in with the strategy of preeminence. Like, what is it that I can help and improve their life? At the end of the day, the bigger swing, especially for the bigger leaders, Jay, it isn't about making more money. A lot of the people we're meeting, the big teams, like they're making enough money to fund their perfect lifestyle, whatever that is. They're looking for something a little deeper. They're looking for
that's why my chat GPT went down this wormhole of we should be doing events that are more in alignment with people that are closer to the signal, because you're at a little higher level of consciousness. That, I mean, I truly believe if you mapped it out that your level of success in life is tied to your level of consciousness. And so, if you haven't studied that, there's lots of books on it. Get ready, because buckle up. You might be really low on the scale, and that's Power versus Force. Everybody should read that book. But your goal should be to move away from trying to force things, and that's what we do. When you're trying to force it, that's not the signal. The signal is the power comes from you being dialed into the purpose. And it's deep stuff, man. But like that, when you're closer to the signal, when you're doing work that's closer to the signal.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Jay. So how would somebody inspire and align and literally mobilize their audience and their people with leverage? Let's talk about an agent who's trying to grow their business. Okay. Leverage is the number one thing we talk about. We talk about it all the time. How do you get leverage? Well, if someone's trying to go from A to B, let's say they're at 20 transactions a year, they're trying to get to 50. What kind of leverage should they be looking at and looking for as they go through this process of, having these conversations with people?
So
how do we get leverage in our business?
Yeah. Great question, dude. So, I mean, I get hung up on that. I was like, man, I got to go back and talk about this more. Like, and when I'm talking about like adding value to people's lives, like I'm talking about, you got agents on your team and you're trying to get them to make the calls. They won't make the calls. Like, do you know what their financial situation is? Do you know what they're trying to accomplish? Do you know what their goals are? Do you know if they're going to go on vacation this year with their family or not? How are you trying to help them get their goals? Or are you just trying to get your people to do what you want for your own benefit? And that's what I mean by like really adding value. When it comes down to the leverage piece, you have to be mindful of the actions that you take that drive results, and you have to get $10 an hour work off your plate. You got to get things off your plate where you're doing the most adding value and less of the things that you don't change the outcome. To me, if you don't change the outcome, first of all, you have to assume you're wrong and everything can be optimized and could be better. That's fundamental Jay Abraham principle. Like when we started coaching with someone, we didn't start adding a bunch of stuff to their plate. Hey, you should do this, do this, do this. We said, what are you doing now? Let's look at everything you're doing, and let's look at what's working, and let's look at what could be operating what could be operating better. How can we get 2 to 3x more results out of the things you're already doing? Before we add things, let's go optimize what you're already doing before we add a bunch of things to the plate. And so optimization at first is look at the things that you're doing that are working. And now let's focus on how do I make this better? How do I make this operate at optimum? And if you optimize things and then grow, you're not going to be wasting a bunch of time doing things that you shouldn't be doing while you're trying to add more to your plate. That creates complexity. It creates time. You don't have enough time in the day. It creates overwhelm. So before you engineer breakthroughs in your business, you have to first optimize what you're already doing. It starts with you and your own time. Most people get to a place where I can always tell when I have somebody in my calendar and I know if they use a calendar or not, because they they don't look at their they don't look at their calendar every day for every appointment. I don't do anything without looking at my calendar. That's the only way I live. I operate based upon time. I control where I am, what I'm doing every minute of every day, not somebody else. And until you manage yourself at optimum, you can't hire somebody and manage them at optimum. How are you going to make them optimize a human that works for you to get the most out of what they're doing if you ain't getting the most out of what you're doing? And so you have to, and this is where it's like putting the saddle on the bronc, man. You're like, heck no, I don't like the way it feels. I don't want it. You don't want to do it. But that's what will set you free. You have to be optimized in what you do with your time. And then you have to understand that you might think you change the outcome in things, and that's your damn ego talking. Your ego saying, yeah, you got to do this, Susie, because you do this better than anybody. That's why your clients love you. Bullshit. You don't change the outcome. You can teach someone to do that. It doesn't have to be you. And that you have to go through this, this shedding of your ego over and over and over at every level of growth, personal growth in life. And that's part, you got to stop listening to your ego, and that's where I think people struggle. If they get stuck at the lowest level of consciousness, that's all ego. It's all fear. It's all guilt. It's the worst place to live. But until you realize you could be better and that you can change the outcome in anything that you want, you are built as a human. God gave you the gifts to do anything that you want to accomplish. Are you living at optimum? Are you operating at the highest possible ability that you're capable of? We all know that none of us are. And that you have to, that's where you have to start before you can get leverage and get some help and get somebody else to do, hire someone. None of that stuff's going to happen until you first optimize and start treating your time as valuable. That never starts. And so to me, that's where you start.
Yeah. So I'm bringing my oldest son, Aiden, onto the team. I'm super stoked. Right. So he's going through right now, kind of like the 4 levels of learning, that first level of learning or consciousness where you're like, okay, I don't know what I don't know. It's called being unconsciously incompetent.
Yep.
It's where you don't even know what you don't know. And in order to do that, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I talked about reps and how important reps are. Mm. And it reminded me of when you guys were coaching me. It was back in like 2011, 2012, coming out of the fun that we had with the recession and the real estate collapse. And I knew one thing after coaching with you guys, the one thing that stuck, a lot of things stuck, but the one thing was, if there was only one thing I could do, not 50, not 4, not 5, just one thing that would move the needle, I knew what it was. Undeniably, it was me in front of sellers listing property. So the question that I want, if you're listening to this, the question you want to ask yourself, if you could only work on one thing today, just one, not 2, not 3, but just one, what would create a disproportionate amount of results for what you're trying to achieve? If you're working with buyers, it's a little different than if it's a seller thing. So I literally got everything hired to everything else to get off of my plate, including like a bookkeeper. And it was like the investment was tiny compared to like the benefit I got from it. Right. But I knew this, that once I started getting rid of all the distractions and only focused on one thing, my goal was 2 to 3 listing appointments per day. And here's the fun thing for everybody. And this, if you're listening to this and your skills aren't where you want them to be yet, because you need more reps. In order, before you can get the reps, you have to have the people, right? Which is where marketing comes into play. That's where leverage comes into play. Do you have a proven, repeatable system that's bringing you in new people? The people have the money, right? That you can start to have these conversations with. I knew that getting everything off my plate and going on 3 listing appointments a day. Look, I'm not the fastest learner or sharpest knife in the box, but you put me on 3 a day, 5 days a week, even 4 days a week, I'm going to get good.
You're going to get better. No doubt.
You start to hit it, right? Like it starts to become more of a fun game versus a struggle every single time. And this knot in your stomach before you're about to knock on the door and meet new people, it becomes a game. But you need those reps are everything. In order to get those reps, you're going to have to get some stuff off your plates. A couple things for me, it was doom scrolling. I get caught up in the social media bullshit, all the politics that's going on, all the division and everything. It makes you no money. It serves you zero purpose, because guess what, everybody, no matter what's happening with the president, what's happening with the country, none of it, you can't control not one thing. There's nothing you could do that's going to change anything. The only thing it's actually doing is it's pulling you away. It's noise.
Yep.
It's pulling you away from the signal and staying in that signal and staying in the pocket and getting them reps in. So yeah,
100%.
good stuff, man. Good stuff. So yeah, this is something that if you're interested in what leverage looks like, we happen to have an amazing program that we just got off with 190 agents. Were on the live call, Jay, yesterday.
Yeah, it was, dude. It was
2 hours ago.
It was
Yeah.
packed.
Packed room, man.
Yeah.
And it was fun listening to like the two different groups of people, like people that were having the like experience, like, hey man, I've been with you guys for 3 months and I have 2 in pending. I'm working with 3 new listings, and we just started the ad like 2 months ago, and I've spent like $600 and I have a full pipeline full of business right now. Those were fun to see that. Then the other half was the people who, have not been with us, and they're like, yeah, I'm not getting any of this from my current broker or team leader. Like, this is
Of course not.
incredible. Go to jetfuelleads.com if you're interested in looking at what that leverage could look like for you and your business. We'd be delighted to have a conversation with you. But we do these live calls every Thursday now. What is it Central Time, Jay?
12 o'clock Central.
12 noon Central. If you'd like an invitation, go to jetfuelleads.com. We'll get you an invite to that. And you can
meet
just
the team that's going to build everything out, customized to you, your marketplace, the business that you want to build, the business that you've been trying to figure out how to get. And we do everything for you. We don't charge you a penny ever. We don't take a commission. We're not trying to get in your pocket. We just want to see you win. And the reason we're able to do that is because of the Model VXP. I was able to build $100,000 a month marketing and implementation team, and I don't need the money. I just need to help people. I need people that want my help. And so that's what it's all. You talk about signal. That's making an impact. That's, everybody on the call, you saw in the comments, people are like, and now how much is this again? Everybody think, no, for real. I know it sounds crazy, but Al and I, we do pretty well for ourselves. And you know what, the way that we do better is by helping other people do better. And so why would we not invest into helping you? Of course we would, because that's how we win too. We don't win unless you're winning. And so that's the beautiful thing. People don't get that about the model of VXP. And that's the benefit. The benefit is you're not alone. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to go pay Zillow 40%. You don't have to take that deal from your broker that he wants you on a 50-50 split and takes 35% that goes to OpCity or whatever. When you have a team of experts that help you execute, that's leverage. And so, that's what we're doing, man. It's fun.
Jay, I want to expand on that for just a second before we get off here. You refer to this a lot, and I'd like you to expand on the agent tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're watching this, you're being taxed somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody. I take that back. I won't even mention the person's name. I met one person who I said, "You like paying 50% in taxes?" He's like, "Yeah, sure. I'll just go make more money." I won't. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention it right now, and call them out. But at the end of the day, everyone else that I've ever met were like, "Nope, I don't like paying taxes." Right. Yeah. So think about it from the standpoint of like paying taxes to the government. You're also paying taxes.
Yeah.
You're getting taxed by your broker.
Some people are getting taxed 50%. Back in the day, in the days where there were kings, kings that ran kingdoms. If you took 50% of your, in your kingdom, if you taxed them at more than 50%, they would behead the king. They're like, yeah, that's too much. Y'all went too far. But some of y'all are on 50-50 splits. Some of y'all are on 70-30 splits. Some of y'all don't even know the split. Y'all go around telling people it's I'm on a 90-10. Well, what about that Coldwell Banker fee of 6% that never ends? Oh yeah, that too. Okay, well, that's not 90-10. So if you do what you say you're going to do that math, you're paying them $50,000 this year. That's a lot. That's a big tax. And so, it starts with understanding you're getting taxed the day you get in the business. Everyone's like, ooh, look here, we got a new licensee. No one's going to show them what to do. The first thing they're going to want to try to figure out is how to get deals. Let me show you how I can help you and take some of your money. Take all, give me a piece of the transaction. And then you're like, okay, I got to figure this out. Surely somebody can help. Oh, look at all these influencers selling me a course on how to do it. I'll just buy one of those. Okay, the next Zillow rep calls. Oh, hey man, we'll sell you that. For me it was called Lot and View. That territory, that zip code's available. You want to, we'll sell it. Nobody wants that one, but we'll sell it to you. You can have those leads. And how much does that cost? $2,500 a month. Why? Because you make $10,000 on a commission. They know that if you understand math, that you would pay a little bit of money to make sure you can make a $10,000 commission. And so everyone's been trying to get in your pockets, and that's just how the business is built until you learn how to acquire a customer on your own. You might have referral business. You might have a sphere of influence, but you can't go mash on that lever. I'll use the example, like you can go to, if you met someone in the grocery store and had a conversation and ended up selling them a house, I bet you $100 you can't go back to that grocery store next week and do it again. It doesn't duplicate. So if you want to get to the next level, you could either try to meet more people and add more value to those people's lives, would be my recommendation if you're going to go that path, and hope that works out with just the belief of you're closer to the signal and maybe you'll get there, and maybe you will, probably will actually. Or we could say, let's have that same mindset. Let's still add value to people's lives, but let's increase conversations per day at the lowest possible cost. And let's learn how to turn a stranger into a valued client, and do that through marketing without having to depend on someone else that's trying to get in your pocket and get a percentage of your money. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to figure it out like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was like, what I learned was, man, if I go to this event, it's going to be a bunch of it's going to be stuff I don't use, but there are going to be one or two things that help. And I would be like, oh, that's the thing right there. I didn't know that. And boom. And I would go back and I would try to figure it out and do, add that to my repertoire, my weapons. And then it wasn't until Jay Abraham, like that's when the whole thing flipped on its head for me, was when I went to a Jay Abraham event. And that, then I learned optimization. I learned the strategy of preeminence and all of these things, and it all made sense. There was so much more opportunity than what I was doing. But then it was, Jay Abraham's one of the top marketers in the world. Dan Kennedy, that linked me to Dan. Now we're at Dan Kennedy events. We're paying Frank Kern $60,000 to be in his mastermind. Like that level of learning marketing, most people don't ever get exposed to. And so you're like, well, I tried to run an ad on Facebook. Yeah. Okay. How many ways did you try? Because there's about 1 million ways to do it wrong. And so, you say, well, that doesn't work or whatever. No, it's not that it doesn't work. It works. You just don't know how to do it. And so you either become that person that learns all this stuff, or you get around people that can help you do it. And, this is an opportunity I don't think everybody needs to learn everything. They just need to they need to be around people or in business with people that have the right intentions for them and aren't trying to whack-a-mole and make as much money as they can off of them. And that's super hard to find, because most people that can solve this problem are worth a lot. They can solve this problem and sell it. I can sell what we do for 20 grand all day long, and people will pay me, because if I make you $250,000, you're not going to have a problem with paying me 20 grand. And that's the level of most business models that exist. But at EXP, that's not how it works. We get paid a lot more than that, and we don't have to go tax you to be able to make what we make. And I don't think anybody in the industry is doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
not at all.
You mentioned tax again, and I mean, there's a lot of people in our pockets, and that's what we mean by the tax, and some of them are good. It's good money spent. So not every expense on your P&L you would consider a tax if you're getting a return on that. You're right. I don't know anyone who gets you could say the taxes that you're paying to the government, the return is you have, roads that work, and you have police and fire, and those are the good taxes, right? It's the taxes that are going nowhere, that we don't know where that money's going. That's what we're talking about. Or Zillow. And I don't know if you saw, I sent you, Handy Andy put up a post that was just fire. And, and did you see that?
No, I did not.
So he was very gently, without trying to be, controversial or anything like that, kind of just calling out these big teams that have Zillow Flex accounts. And their whole, I wouldn't say their whole model depends on it, but a large portion of it does. So let's just do some quick math. You're an agent. You're on a team getting Zillow Flex. Cool. So let's just do the math. You got 40% that comes right off the top. So now we're down to 60% of the dollar, right? 60 cents on the dollar. Then then the brokerage has to take their cut, whatever that is. Then your team leader has to take their cut. So you want to talk about taxes? Think about going out and earning $100,000 a year, but all you get to keep is about 30 grand of that after all the taxes, right? So I mean, that's a 70% tax. You want to talk about a revolt? We'd be seeing some serious riots, revolting. That's what's going on in Iran right now, because the dollars, their dollar has just sunk. Inflation's at 100%, and there's rioting going on right now as we speak. They don't have food, they don't have water. They're trying to figure it out. Agents should actually be feeling that a little bit too. It's not that Zillow's evil, but they are the enemy, because if you literally build your entire business model built off of those kinds of taxes, you're in a spiral that's going to never end. It doesn't, you're not going to, you might be able to barely pay your bills, but that's really about it. You have to be able to create your business model based upon marketing and leverage. And that's where we come in. Yeah, man, been a great pod. I love these topics are my favorite, because when something's not running efficiently, it makes me not want to sleep at night. So go to JetBlueLeads.com, check it out, hop in and watch what we do.
Man, if there's anybody that, this is one you could probably listen to a couple times and pick up a few things you missed, but reach out to us if there's anything we can help you with, man. Like, genuinely, that's what we love doing, man. That, if you're trying to, whatever you're trying to do, I can almost assure you, we've probably done it wrong and messed up every possible way you can, and probably could at least connect you to someone that could help you get there. So, we're here to serve. So, you take advantage of that.
All right. I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
As always, one big fire. Thanks for joining us today. We will see you at the top
Or from the top.
Have a great day.
Yep.